Looks like nobody's been here since we've gotten some fresh snow. That means fresh tracks. Even though it's only probably an inch of fresh snow since somebody's been here. It's a lot better than nothing. Okay, I guess somebody has been here. That's a brand new groomer track. For some reason they just turned around right here. That'll be nice to go up on. Since I took the avalanche class, I have been paying much closer attention to the terrain around me and snow conditions and all that kind of stuff. The first thing is that it's important to pay attention to any sort of changes in the terrain. Different sized trees and broken trees could mean an avalanche path. The angle and the aspect of the slope are going to do different things to the snow. And right now I just noticed that the snow got a lot deeper pretty quickly. And once the snow started getting deeper, that's when I started noticing some cracking as my skis kind of sink into the snow. As I poke around with my poles, I can feel a little bit of a hard layer on top of a softer, weaker layer, which is not a good sign. So those are the kinds of signs that are going to make me more alert as I get higher up and into steeper terrain. There's really no danger now because I'm walking on pretty flat ground. As I keep going, I'm noticing that the only places where I'm getting that cracking under the skis is in wind-loaded areas. But in the areas that are not wind-loaded, there's no cracking. So that's kind of a good sign. It tells me to avoid the wind-loaded slopes, but the other ones might be okay. Now I'm starting to get into avalanche terrain. As you can see, it's pretty steep behind me. So I'm going to find a good spot to dig an avalanche pit, see what kind of snow layers are underneath me here. You want to dig down about 100 centimeters if you can, but there's really not that much snow here, so I'm not even going to be able to dig that far. So I'm just going to dig to the ground. So the first thing to do is just kind of feel the snow layers with my hand. I start out with my fist. The stuff on top is pretty soft, so I can punch into it with my fist right now. And then right about here I get to a harder layer, and that's when I switch to using 4 fingers. If I can punch in with 4 fingers, then I keep going. So right about here there's an even harder layer, and then I switch to 1 finger and keep going. And if it gets even harder than that, then you switch to a pencil or a knife, and that's what you call like a knife crust. Those are really hard, usually kind of thin layers. Since I don't have a snow saw yet, I'm using my old machete. This is what I use to make firewood when I'm camping. But it's got a saw on the back. It works pretty good. Now I'm going to stick my shovel in the back of this column and kind of pull on it to see if I can get it to fail at all. And there you go, you got a crack right here. So that block that slid is that about 6 to 8 inches of softer powder that is laying on top of the harder, crustier snow. Now this gives me room to conduct my next test. This one is an isolated column test, so I'm going to cut out every side of the block so it's freestanding. Now I'm going to put my shovel on top of this and pat the top of the shovel first with my hand, then with my whole elbow, and then with my whole arm. The idea is that you're adding progressively more force to the stack and trying to find out where it's going to break. So first 10 pats with my hand. 1, 2, 3. Oh. So that's not very good. That means that it can be triggered pretty lightly. You can see where it's cracked. Now I'm going to keep going with the test. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now with my whole arm. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, Alright, so at 26 it cracked again, and this is kind of in the middle of these crusty layers. There's a lot of facets in between these layers, which is really loose, crystally snow that things can slide on. So this is not looking very good right now. 7, 8, 9, 30. Alright, so now this one is called an extended column test. It's basically the same thing I just did, but now the column is 90 centimeters wide instead of 30. And the thing I'm looking for here is that when the column cracks, I'm wanting to see if it propagates throughout the whole column or if the crack kind of stays isolated. 15, nothing so far. 30. So I didn't get any cracking on that test. Even though I got pretty good results with the extended column test, the other two tests that I did were kind of spooky. That stuff cracked way too easily. I don't really trust my experience yet. I don't have much of it. So I'm going to take the safer route and just go back right through the trees. Another thing to note is that there are some tracks going up there. Looks like somebody went up here maybe a day or two ago. And I probably would be fine if I went up there, but especially since I'm alone out here, it's not really worth risking it. And that's how most of these runs end. The trees just get thicker and thicker until you can't go anymore. Pretty fun open run though. And that's it, I'm back at the road. A lot faster going down than going up. Kind of disappointing that I couldn't make it all the way to the top, and I probably could have, and I probably would have been fine, but I don't really have any experience to rely on right now, so right now I'm playing it safe. I'm out in the Crazy Mountains today. That's gotta be one of the coolest names for a mountain range that I've heard. This is my first time out here. Montana has finally been getting some good snow too. It was a pretty slow start to the winter. December was pretty dry. For the past week or two we've been getting a bunch of snow. I'm seeing a lot of really gnarly and extreme lines on my hike out here. but that's not the kind of stuff I'm ready to go for yet. So for now, I'm going to stay a little bit lower. As I'm traveling through the backcountry, most of the time I'm not actually in avalanche terrain, but I'm moving next to it. Right now I'm at the bottom of a pretty steep slope, and I've been walking through pretty thick trees, which is a good sign because that means that historically there haven't been a lot of big avalanches in this area. So as I'm moving through the landscape, I'm looking for changes, and those can be clues that there might be heightened avalanche activity in the area. And right now I just kind of stepped out of the thicker trees and into an area with a bunch of smaller, younger trees. What that could mean is that there was a big avalanche here in the past, and so that means that this is an avalanche path. So I'm just going to take a little bit of extra care as I move through here and kind of pay attention to what's going on. Okay, so up there is the place that I want to ride. I have found a spot that's relatively safe and also representative of the same type of slope as that spot up there. So this is where I'm going to dig the avalanche pit. Well, this is definitely the deepest pit I've ever dug. We're at just over 120 centimeters here. First is the hand test, where I just kind of punch into the side of the wall. First with my fist. If it gets harder, then I use 4 fingers. If it gets too hard for that, then 1 finger. Okay, so it's pretty consistent the whole way down. It's about fist hardness right about till here, and then I got the 4 fingers right till here, and then 1 finger basically all the way down. There's a little bit of an icy layer right about here, but it's not too loose underneath, so I'm not too worried about that. After that, I'm going to cut out a column on both sides and then use my shovel to pull on it to see if I can get it to break anywhere. Whoa. Kind of 2 interesting things happened there. At first, the whole block slid way down on the bottom layer here. And then I moved the shovel just a little bit more, and this whole block slid too. And then after that, it's the column test, where I isolate a 30 centimeter square column and then tap on that to see if I can get it to fail. Alright, that is a good result. I did all 30 taps and no cracking. The column is still stable. So that's a good sign. And then the final and kind of most important test is the extended column test. And same result. This column still looks really stable. So I'm gonna go up there. It's looking pretty good. If I pull the whole column, then it might collapse at the bottom. But that takes a lot of energy to make that crack.